Hey, what's up, YouTube? This is my exclusive interview with Caleb Jackson. He's killing it in real estate and Forex right now. We're here to talk about some of the challenges that he faced while pursuing the entrepreneurial path and some of the steps he took towards success.
Honestly, all about who you surround yourself with, because in the last week alone, the profit that we generated as a team, last week alone, in the last 4 days as a team, we generated 155 racks. A lot of the times we talk about, like, millionaire vibes and them type of thing there, but we just talk about that shit. We don't actually realize, like, what it's going to take or what those numbers actually have to be in order to reach those goals in the time frame that you're looking for. So, like, when you're surrounded by, people, who are operating at that skill set, and, 200 grand, 300 grand is pocket change, losing $50,000 in bad transaction and shit is only 1 month's income. It changes your whole perspective about money. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's why, like, even now, like, I'm just so conscious about who I'm around. I can't be around people who don't have a certain energy. You feel what I'm saying? Because I just want to protect the state of mind that I'm in.
All right, so yeah, what's up, Caleb? How's your Sunday going?
It's going good, man. Just here in the office, just getting really a lot of things done, and just really just preparing for the new week. Just ready to just destroy, and just take control of my destiny this week. That's just the energy that I'm on.
That's what's up. What I want to do here today is just like talk to you about how, people from the same country that we come from and similar situations, like sometimes you just can't see their way out. You know what I mean?
Right.
What's a typical day for you 5 years ago versus a typical day for you today?
Well, I think, to be very honest with you, not much has changed in my thinking process. I think that I was beginning to put in the work years ago, and I'm now seeing the results today. So I'm very, very proud of my 18-year-old self, because if it wasn't for the decisions that I was making back then, I definitely wouldn't be enjoying, I guess, the benefits that I'm really starting to see now. And I think that's one of the biggest things is a lot of people, they're too caught up in the short-term gratification of things. First of all, it all comes down to who you're paying attention to. And I've always, had, very great mentors. I've reached out. My first mentor in Jamaica was Shelly Ann Fraser. So it started off with always just looking up to great people. If someone doesn't have the insights that I want, or if they're not necessarily where I want to be in life, I would prefer to be in a room by myself reading about billionaires than be around people who are going to bring negative energy or, have mediocre dreams or whatever the case may be, because my biggest fear in life is not reaching my full potential. You get what I'm saying? And I just know what I'm fully capable of, and I just know how far away I am from that. So I'm not necessarily going to measure my stick to what everybody else is doing. I want to measure my stick according to what I know I'm capable of. And I know that that's world class. I know that that is just something that's on a different level. If the God who created Earth is my father too, it's just like, I have that same power to just do what I want to do and do what you know what I'm saying? So that's just the energy that I'm on. So I just don't put myself I've never put myself in the same box as everybody else. And I never wanted the same things as everybody else either. I rather live a life where, I am struggling but doing my own thing and struggling towards my dream than to, I guess, be comfortable but hate my goddamn life. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, really.
Yeah. I don't know if that's the answer you wanted, but.
Yeah. So first of all, like, give us a little background, like, like how old are you? What do you do? And where do you come from in Jamaica?
Sure. So number one, 23 years old. I guess there's three parts of what I do. Number one is real estate investing with my two friends from middle school right now. The next thing is I run a nonprofit called Operation Help the People over in Kingston, Jamaica, and actually that's really just really. And then the third thing as well is I'm a co-founder of Care Investments. It's a financial literacy platform, and we teach people how to trade Forex. Now, I'm not actually from Jamaica. I'm from Baltimore, Maryland, but I moved to Jamaica during high school because I was your typical misguided youth, fighting, getting in trouble all the time, not going to school. If I didn't move to Jamaica, I'd probably be dead or in prison, to be honest. And my aunt ended up taking me in. My aunt is actually a dean at the University of Technology in Jamaica. But the thing is that she never really cared too much about like, you know, the academics and that kind of stuff, even though she was a dean, because she knew that I was different and appreciated my strengths. I think the biggest thing that I got in Jamaica was when my aunt would teach me and lecture me at length about, you know, the importance of emotional intelligence and using a lot of the softer skills that I've really been able to hone today.
Oh, that's real.
Sometimes the people who we define as geniuses just had good parents, you know what I'm saying? And that's really it.
Yeah, that's great. Like not a lot of people get to learn about that at such a young age, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah. So like you were saying that you always had like a vision, like, you know, from your, how did you get to that point? Like were you just born like that?
I think I'm a very visual person, so I mean they put me on ADHD medication and whatever, but you know, when I listen to music, I walk around just because like the visions that are inside of my head, I can just see more clearly with more detail than you in front of my screen right now.
Yeah.
Even though a lot of the things may not exist today, that's why, like for example, you know, a lot of the things that I'm doing right now, I envisioned with clarity, even with the emotional aspects of it years ago. You know, I felt the emotion. I can see it just so visually. So for the better and for the worse, right? I think that's just a unique characteristic that I've always had. I don't think I have anything else that is quote unquote special. You know, I've been written off most of my life by most teachers in the system of school and education. Enough people. I mean, I only have 2 CXCs. I failed. You know, I failed school. You know,
Yeah.
dropped out of university. Couldn't get into business school because I couldn't pass applied calculus. You know, I even forced my way into university because I knew that if I took the SAT, you know, that I probably couldn't end up, you know, going to university. So then I said, okay, I went to community college for 2 years, and then I got into university as a transfer student instead of having to face the SATs and stuff. So I think I've just always just find a unique way to do the same things that everybody else did. When I went to Jamaica, I went to Victory Academy, and there was a time when the teacher just took my phone and everything for like a whole semester. I said, I'm tired of it. And then I ended up skipping school and walking to Hillel Academy in Jamaica, and talked to the principal and talked to the administrator and talked to the board, and came back to the university, to that school twice in the same day. And they were just like, come bring your aunt and your uncle Monday morning at 8 a.m. And then I had to go home and explain to my aunt that I skipped school to do this. And I was able to get into Hillel Academy without any paperwork. So I think I just always have found unique ways to do, I guess, the same thing.
Yeah, what I wanted to pinpoint is like, when did you decide that you had you wanted more? Like you didn't want the ordinary. Like what triggered that?
I mean, I grew up in a pessimistic household is a nice way to say it. And I think I just saw, like, for example, like, you know, parents are physicians and those types of things. Had a very strong relationship with my mom, but, you know, for my father and stuff, I just saw everything I didn't want to be. And everything that I didn't want to be, was just the typical, like I guess the people who I had the most negative relationships with, I'm just trying to really find the right wording. Were doing the very things that everybody else was doing, going to college, having a bunch strong on paper, master's degrees and jobs and full resumes, but didn't live the lifestyle that I wanted to have, didn't, have the family that I wanted to have, and just weren't the people who I wanted to be. And I realized that I just never wanted to be that for myself. And maybe also it was out of rebellion, just because I just wanted to be the complete opposite of what I was living with. And I would go and I would seek mentors, and I would see, my mentors who had, high school educations, running $1 million businesses, you know, um, being in the room with CEOs. I would just walk as an entrepreneur and just say, hey, my name is Caleb Jackson. I'm an 18-year-old entrepreneur, and I want to learn how to be successful like you. Can I have 15 minutes of your time to interview you? You know what I'm saying? And just realizing that, I like business. I like, kind of like the unconventionalness of being a dropout entrepreneur. I wanted that for myself. Because those were all the people who, it's all, I look up to Diddy and I look up to a lot of these people, and all of them had the characteristics that were completely opposite to the people who I was, who was telling me what to do, like the deans of the schools and the teachers and, the people who I was living with as well. So I had to really decide, like, who do I want to take advice from? The people who are matching my definition of success, or the people who are telling me what to do who I don't want to be anything like, and I think that was a really big game changer for me, and believing in myself enough to make those decisions. I think the next thing as well is I don't watch TV. I read a lot of books, and I'm very visual as well. So when I'm reading books about Warren Buffett and a lot of these big guys, it's like I'm visually walking through their story and learning their tricks and their habits and instilling them in my own life.
Right, makes sense. So when you're in like let's just hypothesize, for other people out there, when you're in like not so good environment, and like all you're seeing around is just like all this darkness, like, and if you're trying to be an entrepreneur, like how easy was it for you to just walk up to CEOs and ask for their time? Like, were they always receptive?
Yeah, I mean, this is the biggest problem that people really like mess up on is, see, if I try to do what I'm doing now at 30 years old, I think it'd be a lot harder. I think the mere fact that, when I was 18, it's not every day someone sees, a black, teenager walk into their office with no appointment and say, hey, can I meet the CEO? If I was a 30-year-old trying to do that, they'd probably think I'm weird. I think just I always knew from a young age, and just understanding things that, like my youngness, my youthfulness, was my advantage, because it allowed me to separate myself from the herd. You know what I'm saying? Because, the people who, at my age were just not concerned about the things that I'm concerned about. So it allowed me to kind of, get my foot in the door a lot deeper than if I waited and wasted my time and wasted my life. And I also just loved the energy that it came with. I mean, when I would go to the CEOs, I mean, the first CEO that I did that to, I ended up getting a job instantly on the spot. And I thought $10 an hour was like, the world. I was like, $10 an hour, thank you. And I got to watch the CEO. I mean, it's actually really hilarious, because my drive for real estate started all the way back then. You know what I'm saying? So it's just, seeing what consistency really does. But I think that's just the biggest thing, is just like believing in myself, understanding the advantages of the things that I have today, and fully exploiting them to the maximum, as if, life will end tomorrow. That's how I view my time.
Right. So, how do you know, like, when you were on, because for something that people say is so crazy, people say, going out on your own is always crazy. So how do you know when you were on the right track?
I was in university, and this is really when I dropped out of school. And I was just sitting there, and they spent a whole hour of class going through what an independent and dependent variable is. And I literally just looked in class. Am I allowed to use profanity? I don't know, just to be real.
Sure.
Just to bring the realness, I was just, sitting in class, and I was just thinking to myself, why the fuck am I here?
Yeah, I feel you, bro.
I walked out of Douglas, and I just stood there, and I just observed everybody, and I just literally didn't move. And I realized I just didn't have an answer to why I'm here. I was just like, I went out and I printed out the finance syllabus at Howard University. I took a look at it and I said, I'm here for 4 years, and the cumulative, classes that I'm taking is going to be 40 credits that are like actually relevant to my major. This is, it just didn't make sense. And people were just like, it's only 4 years. It's only this and that. I'm just like, that's actually really expensive.
Yeah.
Because, you're in your 20s, 20 years old. So 20 of your years of your life is already gone. Then you work until like you're just quote unquote 70 years old. So like you have a very actually relatively small window of actually working in productive years. And when you're creating a business, it's about investable hours. And it literally made no sense to me to continue doing what everybody else is doing. And I believe that even firmly now, because if I wanted to go back to university, that will forever, eternity be there. You get what I'm saying?
Right.
And if I was to go back to university now, I would have more entrepreneurial experience. And then if I went to go to apply for a job with the degree, I'd be even a stronger candidate because I can prove what I've done without, a boss.
Exactly.
But the opportunities of today and the opportunities that I've really seized on, those opportunities are already gone, had I waited anymore. So I think the biggest thing was just having a very clear understanding of who I want to be and where I want to go. And then just removing all the fluff to getting to that goal, because it's not like I was trying to be a lawyer or a doctor. I'm trying to be a real estate entrepreneur, and that does not require a degree.
Yeah, that's real. Yeah, definitely had a lot of those moments going through it.
Yeah.
But I didn't get that kind of insight that I needed. So I just was like, I guess I'm gonna just finish and see what happens.
Right. But it's all good.
It's all good. So here's the main question: is like, why do you think that anyone out there can achieve what you did? Because some people really believe that like they can't.
Well, that's the problem. I mean, that people don't really envision better for themselves. So that's where it starts. I've always envisioned better for myself. So it's not even necessarily like, achieve, because I think everybody, I mean, like I can't achieve what other people want to achieve. Like I'm on my own journey and my own path. I think anybody can do what I want to do. And it's just simply because I'm persistent. It's literally like this. I mean, someone may have a master's degree and all the relationships and all the connections and everything and be in the same field as me, but they're not going to work 15 hours, 20 hours a day, 7 days a week. They're not going to, I'm willing to go forever. You know what I'm saying? I'm not looking at this like, okay, if this is in the next year or whatever, I'm going to give up. I'm as long as I can pay my bills and live on minimums and cover my bottom line, I am willing to go and do what I'm doing right now forever. And that's just simply because I love what I do. I love operation of the people. I love real estate. I love real estate so much. If everybody was being paid the same amount of money and could never, earn $1 more throughout their entire lives, I would still do real estate. I would still do you know what I'm saying? So I think that's the biggest thing, is that people are in situations where they hate what they're doing in the first place. So then leveling up in the thing that they hate, isn't necessarily like a ingredient for success.
Yeah.
But, I've had to go through so much failure. Like this is the first month where I'll probably make 80 grand this month, right? And but I've been grinding for 2 years of failure, losing businesses, deals going bad, not getting paid for months at a time. Suffering, not having relationships, pivoting from one failed partnership to the next. I'm actually still grossly underpaid when you consider the amount of hours and sleepless nights that have been put in to get to this point. You know what I'm saying? Like, so I think that's the biggest thing. I think that's really the biggest thing.
So,
I hope that answered the question.
oh, definitely. That was a handful. So like how did you deal with, or what did you consider as failure, and how did you deal with that? Like how did you manage?
I think failure, I don't even think, sorry, I have some people sending me properties and stuff, but I don't really consider anything failure except quitting. I did have a business though where I took in investor money, lost it in the markets, and now I had to pay all my investors back. But that's still, that would be like my first true business failure. I've had projects that don't go well and things like that, but just because I failed or didn't have a successful month or didn't have a successful idea, I mean, I'm not quitting the industries that I'm in. Like, for example, even though the business failed, no investor lost money, they're paid back. And then I'm just going to continue and take all those lessons and move forward. So it's not actually really a failure. It's just more so of I stumbled and went through all the emotional pains that came with. I don't really think anything is failure. I think failure is just really when you give up.
But the thing is like, when you have bills to pay and you're hungry and like people are just continually beating you down, like, what the hell are you doing? Like, how did you keep going through all of that?
Just something deep within me just said that, like, I literally would walk off the bus pissed off. Actually, no, I have failed before. I had a online web application development company that was doing really good, built the company from nothing, from scratch. And right around the time when we were getting our first 20 grand client or so, I realized that my partner was siphoning off money. That was a failure. But even when I was pissed off and I was so angry on the bus, I think the more angry, negative that I felt, I just remembered in my brain just saying, just keep going, keep going, keep fucking going, keep fucking going, don't stop. And I think that like the more of the pain that I was feeling only made me dig my teeth into it even further. Because it's like, damn, you done paid for all this. Look at all, I've had anxiety attacks and everything. I just remember myself. It all depends on what you tell yourself in the back of your head. I have this little speaker box inside of my brain just yelling, keep fucking going. That's just like the energy and the voice within me talking. And I just think that's really it. I think that like I've had so many examples through mentors and books that they all went through the same exact thing that I'm going through. So the main fact that I'm going through it is just validation that I'm on that path. And I think just understanding that and continuing that is really the energy that I'm on.
Right. So so you say you love real estate. So why is Forex a part of your life? Why is OHTP a part of your life? Why is so many things?
I love OHTP because it's my first successful endeavor. The happiness that you come from making a difference in society is something that's unparalleled to any money that can be made. And I don't believe that God put me on this earth to accumulate Benjamins. I think that he put me on this earth to make a difference in people's lives. I think that will always be the number one priority, because I'm not going to stand before God and just say, hey, I made $1 billion. It's just more so you created me for a purpose, and I used that purpose and I fulfilled the mission that I was here on. So that's number one. Forex and trading is a means to garner more funds. I mean, if you look at where wealthy people, majority of them come from, it's real estate, owning a business, or the financial markets. And that's really where I concentrate a lot of my time in. I'm not in the equities as a long-term value investor right now because of where I feel we are in the marketplace. But the best place to actively trade, I feel, is either options or the Forex market. And the Forex market is, I guess, my weapon of choice that funds the things that I love, like real estate, traveling, and also just paying bills and things like that. Real estate is where I'm going to be long-term investing. Um, it's where I see myself, owning, billions of dollars worth of real estate and really just moving the ball forward in that regard. And it's just, I guess, the passion engine that just never stops. And then OHTP is just like, where we're going to make an impact in what I'm really passionate about, which is, youth development. Because that's just, I guess, the more giving back aspect of me. So I feel like in order for me to live the life that I want to do, I need to operate, a business that I really love, and that's real estate. I can generate money quick, and you have to have a skill that can print and make you liquid quickly, and that's Forex. And then also, I think that life is pointless if you're not making a difference in other people's lives, and that's operation helping people.
Yeah, that's real. A lot of people forget that part,
Yeah.
But yeah, that was really helpful. That was a lot. The last question I want to ask is well, although I said I went to the same college, that's where we met originally.
Right.
But honestly, I didn't really get to know you up until since I joined CARE.
Appreciate it.
Um, and it's been great, like just joining CARE has taught me a lot. So like I want you to talk about like what CARE is and like what do they offer, like.
I appreciate that. So I guess I'll give a really quick backdrop into why CARE started. So, while I was in university, just getting my real education, and the real education came from reading Rich Dad Poor Dad and those books outside of the institution. I just realized that, okay, real estate is the way to go, but I started to, how can I make as much money as possible? So I would, do school, do OHTP, and then work all night, at different retail shops and things like that. And I hated my life. So I took all the money that I had and made my first investment in a stock, and I got lucky, but made like a whole month or more income in less than a week with less. And I said, okay, am I going to continue busting my tail at these jobs that I hate and feeling exhausted all the time? Or am I going to put all my effort and all my energy into, the financial markets, which is produced way more results with less effort, right? The 20/80 rule, right? So I really started to go in on the market, seeing more success, seeing more consistency. And I realized that this is where financial freedom is going to come from. But then obviously you go through your periods of failure, travel the world trying to get like the best mentorship possible. And my partner, Abraham Robertson, and I realized that we wanted to start teaching because financial freedom and financial independence and financial literacy in the financial markets. Like I thought by getting a degree in finance, I would learn about investing. But then when I looked at the syllabus, I realized that just really wasn't the case. So we realized that this is something that needs to be taught at scale, and we started to take students in. But then the students started making money too, and making money way faster than when we were going through the pain of starting it.
Right.
So CARE Education is we just try to build a company that we wish we had when we first started trading, and that is just an all-inclusive, I guess, trading incubator. Where it's a 5-week course where we teach you our strategies. But then on top of that, you get access to our website, which has all of our videos recorded, 24/7 access. In addition to that, you got a community. Because the thing is that we also study the 15 principles of success, one of which is to have a mastermind and be around like-minded people. So by building a community, we can set our students up for success because they're around people doing the same thing.
Right.
On top of that, during the week, we show our weekly analysis, and then we even have a Telegram that shows the trades that we're looking at in real time. And then lastly, we run a book club, because if you don't develop yourself, and if you don't, elevate your mindset and elevate who you are, no matter how much money is thrown at you, you will never really be able to reach your full potential. So you go in all on that. And all that's for just a one-time fee. And we are starting classes again 2019. So if you do want to join, please.
Hey, that's real.
Yeah.
That's real.
Really
I appreciate you taking the time out today, for real.
I really hope that these questions made sense. I mean, these answers made sense.
Yeah.
I hope that they're impactful.
Hey, somebody out there will hear you, bro.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. So you have a good one.
All right, bro. Until next time, appreciate you again, and peace.
Peace.
All right, thanks for watching, guys. I hope this was helpful to someone in their journey. I know it's kind of long. If it did, please comment down below or shoot me a message. I'll put my email in the description. And stay tuned. I have such a variety of content coming. I know you guys will appreciate. And also some background information on me and where I'm at. But until then, stay in motion.